Hey there! Guess what we're going to do today? We are going to make some breakfast. And we're going to use one of my favorite ingredients in the entire world, blueberries. Now, at certain times of the year in Maine, where my parents live and where I grew up partially as a child, blueberries come out in the summertime. Right just in time for my birthday. And whenever I go home to visit my parents for my birthday, well, to visit them, if it happens to be somewhere around the time of my birthday, instead of making a birthday cake, my mom will make blueberry pie. Well, we're not going to make blueberry pie today, but we're going to make something really extra yummy, blueberry pancakes. So, here we go. We've got our blueberries, we've got our other dry ingredients, we have sugar, we have baking powder, we have salt, we have flour, we have milk. I'm not going to pick that up because I don't want to spill it. And we have a little bit of oil, and we have a couple of eggs. Now, this is a really easy thing to make. And it doesn't take long at all. So what I'm going to do is go ahead and start my pan and get it heated up a little bit. And I'm just going to kind of get it going on a medium heat right there. Now, the first thing I'm going to do is just mix all of my dry ingredients, which is pretty simple. So I'm just going to dump in my sugar, dump in my baking powder, dump in a little bit of salt. A little humid today, the salt's sticking to the glass. There you go. Okay, and then I'm going to mix in my flour, and then I'm just going to mix all of those up just for a second. And you know, if you go to buy pancake mix at the store, basically this is what you're buying. Okay, you're buying a box with some flour, sugar, salt, and baking powder in it. And then you have to come home and make and stick your own eggs and milk in there. Well, I just showed you how easy that is. You could actually make some of this ahead of time, mix it up really well, keep it in a container, and then have it ready for the next time you want to make some pancakes. So then you don't even have to go through all that. But even that, it wasn't hard, was it? It took 20 seconds. All right, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to mix in my oil. And this is just plain vegetable oil. You can use olive oil, but olive oil has a pretty distinctive taste, and I've used it before. I use it in a lot of things. But in this particular recipe, I just like some plain vegetable oil. And then here we have about between 3/4 and a cup of whole milk, and I've also added just a little bit of heavy cream to that, just to give it a little creamier texture. You don't have to do that. You can even use low-fat milk if you want to, that's for sure. But then I'm just going to mix it up just slightly, just till everything is moist. Now, I don't want to mix it in a blender or anything, because that's going to make your pancakes really tough. And this way, it just barely gets moist, and then it's ready to go. So, next thing I'm going to do is just stick my blueberries in there. And you can use anywhere between a half a cup to a cup. You can use fresh blueberries, you can use frozen blueberries. Thaw them out first though. They'll cook better that way. And then I'm just going to kind of fold them into the batter here. As you can see, I'm not really stirring too much. I just want them to be mixed in so each pancake gets a few nice juicy blueberries in there. Alrighty. So, now my pan is getting hot. I'm just going to add a little bit of oil. And one thing about pancakes is you always want to test it out first. And the reason why is because your first pancake isn't always going to be the best. Some people call it the throwaway pancake or the dog's pancake or whatever. But the idea is you don't really want to... it's just, you're still figuring out the heat of the pan and everything, and so that's why it doesn't always come out perfectly. But we'll see. Sometimes you get lucky, right? Okay, so we've got our pan on a medium-high heat. We've got the oil in there. And then first what I'm going to do is I'm just going to drop just a little tiny piece of batter, just a little tiny drop of batter in there. And that looks like it's sizzling and it's ready to go. So I'm just using a regular old tablespoon here, and I'm going to make, you can always make different sizes of pancakes, of course, but I'm just going to make just a little bit, kind of a heaping tablespoon right there, and it will spread out. Don't worry about that. So I'm going to put that on there, and with this size pan I think I'll get 4, maybe 5 little pancakes out of this one. But again, the batter will spread out as it's cooking, and so I'm going to leave some room in the pan for that. If you can see right there, I've just got 4 pancakes. I could stick another one in the middle, but I'm going to have to make another batch anyway since I have enough batter left in the bowl for maybe, I'd say, 3 more. Alrighty, so let's just let that cook for a minute. Now I'm going to show you a quick little trick. You know, sometimes if you go to a restaurant, you get pancakes and then they serve the butter on the side. A lot of times it's ice cold butter. Sometimes it even has little ice chips in the bowl. And yeah, that's nice. It keeps it cold, but it's really hard to spread that way, right? I don't know why. It's much better to let it get to room temperature first. So what I'm going to do here, though, is I'm going to take my syrup and I'm going to add the butter instead of serving it on the table and having the syrup there and then the butter there, and you're trying to sit there and spread the butter on your pancakes, and then you're breaking the pancake, and it's just turns into a big mess. Well, here's a little trick. You just take your syrup, and then you just take maybe a tablespoon of butter here for about maybe a half a cup or so of syrup, and then I'm just going to put it in the microwave for just a minute. So I'm just going to set that right there in just a minute. When it's time to serve the pancakes, I will then put that in the microwave just for maybe 20-30 seconds. That'll melt the butter. Then you mix the butter all in with the syrup, and then you get that nice buttery flavor in the syrup, and you don't have to mess with it on the table. Alright, so there's just a little tip for you. Okay, I'm just going to check the bottom of a couple of these. Normally you wait till the edges are starting to bubble a little bit. That looks pretty good. Actually, for a first batch, these aren't too bad here. And I'm just going to flip that one over. And then flip this guy over. And flip this guy over. And then, as you can see, they're nicely browned right there. And now they're not cooked through yet. So what you want to do is turn the heat down a little bit at this point, and then just let them cook through a little bit longer. Another thing I wanted to show you is that I've just got a nice little side item that I'm just going to stick right on the same plate as the pancakes, and that's just some nice chopped up fresh cantaloupe. Okay, another little, it's sweet but not quite as sweet as the syrup and everything on the pancakes. However, it's a nice little fruit addition to get your morning started there. All right, so let's check these pancakes again. One of the reasons why pancakes are popular is because they cook fairly quickly. All right, so what I'm going to do with these are pretty much almost done. So what I'm going to do is take them and put them in the oven, and that way they can keep warm while I cook the rest. Now today I'm not making a huge batch, but sometimes I might make a batch that's going to feed about 8 or 10 people, right? So by the time, if you start serving them, there's different ways to do it. You know, you can serve all the kids first, for example, and then get them done with, and then let them go out and play, and then the adults can sit around and maybe enjoy a little mimosa or something while they're waiting for theirs. But the other way to do it is to cook them so that they're pretty much done, maybe a little bit undercooked even, and then you're just going to take the plate stick it in the oven and let that stay warm. Now, one thing pancakes do is notice the oil that I put in the pan is pretty much gone. This is a non-stick pan, however, we do want to cook them in a little bit of oil. Gives it that nice browned texture on the outside. And so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to turn my pan back up just a little bit so that it's at a medium hot temperature. And then I'm going to let that oil heat up again just for a little bit. And I'll test that out with just a little bit of batter. Okay, that seems to be sizzling pretty good. Alrighty. Now I'm going to put the rest of my pancake batter in here. Again, just in little kind of heaping tablespoonfuls. And you can make your batter thinner or thicker, it's up to you. There's no right or wrong way to do that, really. It's just thinner, you add a little more milk and maybe another extra egg, and then that will turn into more like a thin crepe type food item. Or you can do it the way I'm doing here, which is with a thicker batter, and that way you get a little thicker, fluffier type pancakes with that. Alright. So we'll be back in just a minute and I'll show you what it looks like on a plate. Okay, so not everybody is perfect, including me, but what I did was my first batch, that's always a good reason why you want to figure out the first batch first and dry them out. Well, I forgot to put the eggs in there. So those are going to be a little hard. I'm just guessing. Maybe little baby hockey pucks. Okay. But in this one, I remembered to put the eggs in. So we've got all of our ingredients, and we're going to notice the batter is a little thinner. Sometimes you can notice things right when you do it. Some things you notice it afterwards. Oops. All right. So I'm just going to mix these up, which I already did. And I'm going to drop again, maybe a little bit more because it's a little thinner now because of the egg. And there we go. All right. Okay, so if you'll notice here, you can see the pancakes kind of bubbling up just a little bit in the middle. And so when they start to bubble in the middle and get a little dry around the edges, that's when you want to flip them over. So give it about another 15-20 seconds here. I'll just kind of lift the edge of one a little bit just to check it out. Yep, that looks like they're browning quite nicely. So now I'm going to go ahead and flip that guy over. And sometimes you need to spread the oil around a little bit in the pan. I try to use as little oil as possible, but you have to use some, or else they just won't cook properly. Alright. And then we'll cook on that side for a little bit. And then I'm going to stick these on a separate plate in the oven, and so we can do the great taste test later on. Again, I feel these are probably going to come out a little bit better since they do have the eggs in them. And the eggs make them nice and fluffy and moist inside as well. Alright. So these look pretty good. I'm going to take these out. Look at those beautiful babies, huh? Blueberry pancakes. Yummy, yummy, yummy. Alright, I'm going to stick those in the oven. And then I've got one more batch to go. just a little bit more oil here in the pan. And I've got maybe 2, maybe 3 little pancakes left over here. See, this is all that's left in the pan, but it stretches out quite a bit. It's kind of amazing. Pancakes are also good food if you're on a budget. I remember one time when I was fresh out of college and looking for a job in the big city, and I was fortunate enough to have my brother's apartment for a month, and while he was gone on vacation, and the apartment was in downtown Hollywood, California, and he went back to Maine to visit the family for a month or so and said, "You can stay in my place." And his roommate happened to be gone too. So my wife and I survived on whatever was in the cabinets because we didn't have any money. And a lot of things we ate were things like instant mashed potato flakes and instant pancake mix. And I won't say it was the healthiest, but we got by and we made it. And I eventually found a job, got a paycheck, and well, after that we ate pretty well. All right. So if you can see these guys, these are a little smaller than the ones we had before, but that's just because that's what I had left. Let those cook up for maybe 45 seconds or so, maybe a minute. And notice they're already starting to bubble. I don't want to take it off the heat too much because we'll lose the momentum. You can see the bubbles on the top there. And they're starting to dry out just a little bit on the sides. So let's do the countdown. Ready? 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5. What comes after 5? 6. Oh wait, now we're going backwards, so it comes before 5. 5, 4, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Here we go. All right. Now we're going to flip these over. That one's not quite ready. I'm going to let the other one set for another maybe 10 seconds or so. I like them just a little more brown than the way that one turned out. There you can see right there. See, it's a little bit brown, but just not quite enough. All right. Now these guys should be ready. Go. Beautiful, beautiful. And then you know you're making homemade pancakes when they look kind of funky, right? They're not all perfectly round, like poured into the molds like they do at some unnamed restaurants. Okay. All right, so what I'm going to do here now, I've got my syrup here that I have melted the butter in. So it's nice, beautiful, buttery syrup. And of course, always use 100% pure maple syrup if you can. If you do buy a store-bought syrup, the different brand names that are pretty popular, make sure you get the one that says no high fructose corn syrup, because you don't want to put that stuff in your body. It's nasty, nasty, nasty. All right, but this is a nice one, no high fructose corn syrup, and it's got the butter flavor already in there with real butter that I put in. None of that artificial flavor crap. Okay, so these guys are done, and I'm going to plate up a couple of these beautiful pancakes here. And I'm going to turn off the oven, turn off my frying pan, and then I'm going to just spoon out a little bit of syrup here. It goes a long way once it's warm and melted. And oh my goodness, that looks gorgeous right there. And then I'm just going to be a little extra indulgent today. And see, here's our beautiful blueberry pancakes. And I'm just going to put a couple little spots of whipped cream on there. There we go. And then I'm going to add a couple of nice slices of cantaloupe right around the edges, just like this. Okay. And I think we need to grab a fork and bite into that. That just looks too yummy. All right. So we're just going to cut a little bit here. We don't need that butter anymore. Okay, so I'm just going to get a little piece here that has some whipped cream and a blueberry right in there. Oh my goodness, look at that. Okay, so here you go. Blueberry pancakes, homemade from scratch. Less than 30 minutes. You can do it too. I'm going to try this. That is just scrumptious. Great way to start off the day. Again, be sure to add some fresh fruit to it. You could even put some fresh blueberries around the edge too to kind of enhance the blueberry flavor. Alright, well thanks for coming by. Hope you enjoyed today's recipe. We'll see you soon. In the meantime, live well, eat well, and be happy.